Mikey, go! Today we got this wild olive that I collected. I don't know, I think Rod tells me it was nearly 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. They had a bit of a dig, so I went and dug this and chainsawed the bottom flat. The bottom of this root base is chainsawed flat. The roots have filled out. I repotted it not that long ago. I think I did a video on that if you want to go and check it out. I'm too lazy to put it in the description, the link, but you can find it. So what we're going to do today, I've already carved it. I did a massive carve on this one a fair while ago. So today is all about just giving it a trim. It's got ultra small leaves, really compact. I just got to try and get the canopy in now and get it more compact. So I think what I'll do for starters is we'll just try and define the outside shape of the tree. We're not going to have it fully shaped as a perfect shape. There'll be some in and outs, and also some of the stuff like this branch on the side has not developed enough yet, but that's alright. You know, you'll get the idea as we go along. So I think what we'll do now is just give it a bit of a quick shaping, just to give you guys a bit of an idea, and then we'll go back and cut things back to where they should be after. Okay, so we're getting through it all. Back, just to get some sort of a, you know, symmetrical type shape. I do want there to be some, you know, cuts and holes as far as the outside shape of the tree, but in general we're just going to hack it back quick now. And then we'll get in there and clean it up properly in a minute. Cut some things back a bit harder that are too straight. Now we're probably not going to put any wire on this. If I need to guide wire something, I can. I don't like to put wire on trees once they get to this sort of development where you're just, you know, pruning back for branch division and ramification. I don't like to wire them anymore. I just like to clip and grow to a certain shape. And mainly what you do is you want to, all the base buds like this one in here, I want to cut out and just promote 2 branches from any one location and chop the rest out so that we get some good branch structure in the long run. So I've pretty well got the shape cut back. Now I just want to individually go in here, chop back branches that need chopping back. So when this tree got developed, what would it have been? Probably when it got dug, say 5 years ago, it was flat cut on the bottom with a chainsaw, just completely cut flat, and then it was put into a fairly large pot, nursery pot, and allowed to recover and establish in that nursery pot. Just starting to rain. Nice cool day. I've got the fire going still, the fire's cranking along. and it was allowed to establish in that nursery pot for 2 years, probably 2 years before it ever got worked on, and then it's now had, then it got sort of trimmed up to the main branching that was wanted to be kept. Shoot selection was done to where I wanted shoots to come out of the main trunk, and then I've just been, and I probably wired the main shoots that I did want to keep out of the main trunk that I wanted as main branches, and I do think that's all in the video somewhere. And then after the initial branches were set and done, everything after that is just clip and grow, cut it back to 2 shoots from any one location. If you can, if you get a bit slack, well, so be it. You have 3, well, so be it. But you try to put it back to 2, because what happens then is you eliminate the possibility of getting big knuckles in your tree. So big knuckles come from too much growth in any one spot or location, which is generally because you've had anywhere from 3 to 5 branches growing from that one area. So anyway, so here we are, just chopping everything back short, back to just a small stub of growth, so you don't have any one area with big long branches that are dead straight, because that's not appealing for bonsai. So we just chop them back nice and short to a few pairs of leaves. And this also varies from tree to tree. So olives have such, especially these wild ones, have such super close, I'll just clean up these down here, get rid of them. Olives have such super close, these wild ones, internodes, that you don't want to cut it back to one internode. There's no hard and fast rule about which internode to cut it back to. The idea is you just want to cut it back to a length of branch where it gets too long and too straight. You want to cut it back so that it can divide and change direction close enough in that it looks nice and believable. If you get branches that are too straight, the tree just doesn't look as good. But with these olives, what am I trying to say? But with these olives, you want to leave probably even up to 3 nodes, because the closeness of the nodes is so close that if you were to do it every single node, you would end up with just a clump of buds. It would just be too close. So it's probably up to like 3 nodes. But then if you want to do like a maple, it would be the first node every time, and sometimes you would even have to cut it right back to start again because the node's too far out already. So you basically just want to avoid straight sections on your tree. If something looks too straight, cut it back to a node. And that's all you're doing. It's not a complicated science. Bonsai is actually super easy. You just get here and trim them back. There's a lot of shoots in here to trim back, but I'm getting there. You also want to cut back branches that are in really close to the trunk, or what I call water shoots or basil shoots that come from the base of a big fat branch. You don't want little thin branches in there, blocking the view and making it look too complex. You want nice clean lines, clean ramification, and you want your main branches off the trunk to not have all this close stuff. Like here, you don't want all this close stuff in and around where your branches start from. You want to chop all that off. So let's chop all that off. It sounds complicated, but it's not. All you're doing is choosing your main branching And then you want branch division from there at a decent amount of length that it's not too straight, but enough length that it gets far enough away from the last node that it becomes its own branch and not confused with the original branch. And that's basically it. I mean, I don't have a really good way of explaining things because I've always struggled with that, but basically chop it back short so you get lots of divisions, but not so short that it becomes a knuckle and looks like part of the other branch, because you could easily do that on an olive. You could easily cut it back to its first node and end up with 10 branches all looking like they come from the one clump, but the internodes are that short they actually are divided between, you know, a node out, and they are actually out from the old trunk or the old division, but they don't look like that because they've got such close nodes that it all becomes one big ball of mess. So just remember that. Just keep going in here and just chopping away. And when you're going through watering your trees later on, you can then come through, and if you see an area where you missed something, you can just, while you're walking around looking at your trees, go and, you know, chop it back then when you find something. So if you miss it now, it's not the end of the world, and I'll probably miss something for sure. I always do, and that's fine. You don't want to rush this process too much, and it's quite enjoyable just to get in here and snip away, snip things back, put back to 2 branches per location. If you really get keen, you can pull the leaves off the inside of the crutches as well, but I don't get that super keen. But if you do, well, that's another thing that you can do while you're doing it. But yeah, there's actually quite a bit to do here. When you start to get an older tree like this and you get so much division in the branches, when you do come back and do this, it's actually a fairly major job. And if I keep you guys live for this whole process, which I think I'm going to do on this one, it could be a good half an hour, and then to be honest, I probably still would have missed something. And if I'm going to be truthful, I'll probably come back here later and do a final real clean up of everything, because I probably will miss something for sure. But I just want to give you guys the idea and keep you guys live over the whole process, because then you get a better idea on how much cutting that I'm actually doing. So inside of crotches here, get rid of them. Here we've got a branch competing with this one, so I'm going to cut that back. Opt to go with this lower little branch here. Probably get rid of that little back one, keep the front one. Got some branching in close there. I want to get rid of these basil buds down here which are shooting. Some leaves coming in close to the trunk here, get rid of them. Here we've got just a big ball of mess. We want to create more divisions, cleaner lines, so you can actually see some of the branch structure, because if you have that much foliage and divisions that you can't see the branch structure, it starts to then look like a bush rather than a tree. So you want it, if you can, just create enough openness of the tree that you can start to see all the branch structure of the tree. And with something like this, like an olive that's evergreen, it's always going to be covered. If you don't uncover it yourself, it's always going to be covered, because you know, it's an evergreen. It keeps all its leaves. So you got to thin it out yourself. Something like a deciduous in winter, you can then start to see the branch divisions. But with these evergreens, you can't. So we're getting there. I might actually skip to where I finished doing this, because you've got the idea. I get rid of all the shoots in close, put them back to 2 per location, and slowly just ramify on the way out. And that's it. The ones that face back in towards the trunk and the basal shoots get cut off, and then we just do branch ramification from there. And we've already got our main primary branches set up on this tree. That was done a couple of years ago. So now we're just cleaning it back up so that we can see the branch lines and the branch structure again. We've already got plenty of branching. So I'm going to fast forward to where I've just finished trimming it, and then we'll talk about it again. G'day, welcome back. Well, we got this tree trimmed up, looking pretty good. Got rid of all the branches, well, apart from one that I just found now. But like I say, you can come back later and cut some branches off if you miss a few. Missed a couple on the back there. But all in all, looking pretty good. So, yeah, like I say, pretty well finished trimming it up here. Got rid of all the branches around the base, all of the insides of the big fat branches, got them cut off, and should start to look pretty sweet. So I'm going to give you guys a spin of the tree, maybe a close up of some of the deadwood features on this that I carved out when I first made this tree. And yeah, that's about it. So cheers for watching Aussie Bonsai Bloke. Please like, share, subscribe, tell your mates about the channel. Check out No Rules Bonsai on Facebook if you want to, but if you don't, that's fine. If you're not on Facebook, doesn't matter. Join the group. But yeah, most of all, thanks for watching. Love all your comments. Keep commenting on the videos, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers, and I'll give you a spin on the way out and maybe a bit of a close-up. Oh, this is Adrian Eagleton's massive turntable, by the way. She's made out of stainless steel, works a dream.